Good morning, everybody. This morning has been crazy, but I hope everyone there is well. Good morning or afternoon, depending on what part of the world you're in. Uh, Normally, I do this a lot earlier in the day. Typically, I do this around 9:30, 10 o'clock, but this morning had a lot of activity in the area. It does it does also speak to checking out your local markets. So this morning we had a farmers market, the arts and crafts and clothing market in the downtown area, and we also had a gun show going on in the city in three different spots. So we got up, Sassy was up super early. I slept in a bit, but we got up at, we were both out of bed by 7 and we were running the area. Gun show looked great. I will tell you the price of the firearms has gone down, but I don't think the ammunition should be where it is. It is a gun show though, so they tend to have somewhat inflated prices, depending on what it is you're buying and what kind of caliber. But I would encourage everyone to pay attention either in social media or on the news to the local area markets that you may encounter in your area. In a lot of cases, you might find some really good deals, some hard to find deals. I actually found some slings I was looking for some firearms that I had not been able to get my hands on. And the guy had them there for about 20 bucks. I've used the sling before. It is a tactical. It can be a 1-point, 2-point, or 3-point. And I did like the way they set it up. So that's going to be one of those nice wins that I got for a steal. We also picked up some range bags out there. And those, hey, Joe, good morning. And I'm running late, man. Today was just an absolute mess. Not in a bad way, but it was a mess. I tried to take pictures of the gun show and send them to you on Discord, but somebody was like, yeah, we prefer you don't take pictures of the gun show, because I guess they just don't trust where the pictures will wind up in certain cases, which nowadays may be fair. But in any case, God, my stool's going to knock me on my ass here. So the handguns, everything has kind of diminished as far. They're still higher than they used to be, but the prices of the firearms definitely came down from gas. Got a burrito. Yeah, there are. And it's kind of funny because the local law enforcement was in there and they were walking around shopping with like their teammates and their wives, and it was kind of comical. So again, like I'd said earlier, we had a gun show, a farmer's market, the county market, all going on at the same time. But Sassy had an appointment at noon, so we kind of got up super early and ran around the whole freaking town. Now, I will tell you, I did find a sling, and actually, I'm going to get it. So, I have some old firearms, and well, of course you did, John. So, I did pick up this sling. I've used them before, and I like this one. It is brandless. The guy rebrands them to his own little gun store, but he gets them somewhere else. So I found that this one's sling, I have an SKS, and it is an Albanian SKS. It has a wood stock. The wood stock's beautiful. It has matching serial numbers on everything. Hey, Arkansas, what's going on? So this particular sling, and I'll just share this with you because I know I got a lot of shooting enthusiasts in here. So he actually just latched this shit into the other one. So let me see if I can get this. Come on now. There we go. So in any case, this one I thought for 20 bucks, it wasn't bad at all. So you got the quick release on one end. You can actually do a quick release on both. This side has the little hidden clasp hook. I don't know if you guys can see that. But by the same token, depending on the rifle, so for the SKS, I need the hook on both ends. So I pop out this little attachment on the end, and I can do the hook on both sides. Right, and the 2-point slings for the more classic rifles, you can't do better than that. Now, what I do like is if I want to go 1-point with like my AR pistol, I can do that, right? So now I've got the quick release here, right? The 1-point quick release. And then I can actually, hey, Van City, what's going on? Hey, I can actually attach it so you got the whole loop. And what I need to do probably is do a proper video on this, on the way to configure this sling. And it'll basically be like a little bit of a, I guess you could say it'll be like a little bit of the firearms review of how to set your sling up 52 different ways. For 20 bucks, I thought it was, hey, little boots. I thought it was a really good deal. And again, the firearms seem to have gone down in price. I saw a lot of rifles and ammunition, but some of the ammo was way overpriced. I don't know if you guys saw my short yesterday, but hey, Gene, good morning. Yes, coffee. Actually, I put Hershey syrup in my coffee. I was thinking of Kahlua, but I wanted to at least be somewhat coherent while I talk to you all this morning. But yeah, it's been, I don't know, Joe. Coffee is a lifeline, yes. So anyway, if you guys didn't notice, my theme this week, all my morning videos, you know, I do those 1 to 3 minute videos. I try to do them every morning. And this theme this week was saving money on food preps. As you can see, I pulled a muscle in my shoulder the other day and I'm still feeling it. So I left these bags since I sealed them last week. I wanted to see if they'd hold seal. Yeah, this is absolutely true. So if you can buy a firearm where you are, and there's something you like, I would get it now. It actually held seal for a whole week. And this is why I left the Mylar bags out. Yeah, alcohol and firearm. Well, ATF, right? I actually told Sassy if I retire early from the energy sector, I'm probably gonna open a bar and a gun store next door because it's the same agency. I'll just get to know the one dude. Just won't sell guns in the bar because that would just be a bad idea across the board. What more course? Lies. Last night, big jars. Hey, Annie, how are you? And yeah, there's a lot of, we wound up picking up a lot of spices this last week. That was something I didn't mention in one of my videos. Rice and cubes. That's bizarre. Guys, really? You're going to fight now that I'm on a video? They've been laid out like unconscious. And I started the video and they're like, let's kick each other's butts. So now they're fighting. They're rolling around over here somewhere. Eventually you'll hear someone cry and run away and they'll all get in trouble. But again, this morning we had the gun show. Then we had the farmer's market and we got this beautiful product. You see where we put it. Oh, here it is. It's mixed field greens. This is an organic farmer out in West Texas, and she has covered tents that are in ground. So she doesn't use a lot of pesticides or anything. It's all natural pesticides, you know, like naturally occurring herbs and whatnot. So we had the gun show, we had the farmer's market, and we also had the county market, which was more arts and crafty. There were like photos and paintings and little kids' clothes. It was more like a boutique. So there were a lot of the young moms with their little kids trying on clothes in that one. You found the video? Okay, great. Yeah, I guess, yeah, we can put it in Discord. I guess you can tag me there. I did set up the Discord. I actually have folders now. I gotta put the link somewhere. Probably need to put it in my YouTube channel somewhere. But yeah, it was interesting to have all those things going on at once, and that's kind of why I'm running a little late. I usually do my video between 10 and 11, not 11:30. Sometimes I'll do it at 9:30 in the morning. Um, yeah, this today was a bit late purely because, hey, Backwoods. By the way, Backwards and Tribe. Who was on there last night? Backwards. It was you, Tribe, um, Josh, Hutch. Was that Hutch in the background looking like a serial killer? Like he had that weird light going on. I was on for a bit and then I got kicked off and then I got on again and then work called me and then I kept doing that for a while and then finally I had to give up because work wouldn't leave me alone last night. But check those local markets because they're going on, and with everything kind of reopening and people calming down, there were a lot of product out there ranging from clothes to military surplus equipment. Sassy found herself a range bag, like a backpack with all sorts of things on it. And that was a really nice find for her. And she got it. God, I've seen those bags for 250, and she got it for 130. So I know she got a really good deal on them. So, this kind of those kind of sales you might see at these county markets. Make sure you pay attention to what's going on locally because it's less driving for you because the vendors are coming to you with the hopes of selling to a lot of people to make their money. So you're gonna have that advantage of not having to travel to get that specialty stuff you may need. And Joe made a good point earlier with inflation the way it is, if you're going to get something good, be it a pew, be it a type of equipment, whatever it is, now's a good time to try and find those deals because unfortunately in the next year they may go up. And I really am beginning to question the wisdom of our leaders lately. Let me see. So the feds are right now trying to investigate, and let me bring up that one because I think this is, hey, awkward, what's going on? I've used $10 in gas. Yeah. Mm. And guys, you've got to. Yeah. And keep in mind, you go to a firearms show, you may not necessarily need a gun or want to buy one, but you can, like I found a bag that'll be perfect for my truck. Sassy actually saw it while she was fooling around with that backpack for her because she wants to go shooting with a group of ladies on a regular basis here in town. She found this pack. She said, "I bet you could fit that SBR in that bag." And she said, "Because that's a great grab and go." And then she tells me, she said, there was one time you were headed to one of the cities here in Houston, and I got turned around by a coworker because the riots were going on. And I was halfway to Dallas and I got a call and they're like, yeah, the protest became a riot and the restaurant we were going to, they just broke all the windows out of it. So you need to turn around and go back. So here I was in the middle of nowhere. Fortunately, I had enough gas, I had cash. Actually, I wound up turning around and heading to one of the company facilities because of what I do. I have access to all the facilities, and I called the district manager and said, "Hey, I'm going to camp out here for an hour while I try and figure out what the hell's going on ahead of me." And then I realized continuing on my trip was not a good idea, and I turned around and went back. So buy one, but I don't need one. See, Annie, and that's my dilemma right now. Sassy has like, God, she's got 3 or 4 pistols. And I told her, well, which one do you carry? She's like, I don't know. It depends what I'm wearing. But yeah, and now she Cerakoted them so they're all bougie. So now like the pistol has to look like the purse. And yeah, she's having way too much fun. I created a monster, y'all. But she's having a good time, and she's become a very good shot with the ones she has. So I'm happy about that. But yeah. Yeah, and basically that's not a bad idea. So speaking of inflation, I keep telling folks we need to pay attention to what the money's doing, because at the end of the day, whether a country invades, like Russia invading Ukraine, they say it was, oh, ethnic unfairness or whatever. It was about power and money, and those two go hand in hand. Oh, I like that. Yeah, fun is the best way to do it. Um, because and Joe's got a really good point here. I saw one guy before I go off on the first subject, sitting down and eating when that were, it happened to me in Denver. Okay, this was at the beginning of the whole Antifa-ness. And there's a university in Denver. I can't remember if a University of Rockies or U Denver. I don't remember, but it's right off the main drag. I'd done a meeting. I was set to go take my colleagues and the client to dinner. And the client had a field emergency. He was gone, or they were gone. It was two guys and a girl. They had to hit the field. My colleague from my company is like, well, look, if they're going to bail out, I'm going to go home because my kid's playing soccer. I'm like, yeah, go see your kid, go. So it was just me. So I decided, I had my little, my computer bag, which is my baby bug out. And I was like, I'm going to bebop over. And I found Twisted Kilt. It's where the girls wear the little Scottish dress, and it's like a Hooters, but with a Scottish theme, and they give you beer. And they had a patio on the main street. So I was like, cool, I'll get a beer and eat and talk to people. And I'm just sitting there. All of a sudden behind me is this commotion. And I turn around and I look, and there's a group of people in the corner, and they didn't look right. It wasn't like a group of tourists where they're like, woo, no. There was something wrong. And it was the classic Antifa look. The black hoodies, the black bandanas. They didn't have masks. This was pre-Rona. But they had the bandanas, and they were all dark color. And I've talked about that before, that dark color palette. Hey, what's up, Color Drop? How are you? And while I was sitting there, so I look at the waitress, and this was a big, tall girl, and she goes, oh no. And she goes like this, and I see her go, fuck. And I'm, all right, hon, what's going on back here? She said, a guy mugged a girl. The cops went after him. There was a fight. The guy hit a cop with a trash can lid. He actually gave the cop stitches, so the other cop shot him. Right? You attacked a civilian, and then you attacked the cop, and he got shot. But of course that was, and it was, now that I'm thinking back, that was 2018. That was the very beginning of this whole defund the police nonsense. And they literally took over that street. And to Backwood's point, I was sitting there, I flew there, so I had no pew. I was in a different state that I didn't know the laws in either. I had a utility knife. I had my little bag. I had a flashlight. I went informally. So I had blue jeans, and I had a company jacket that had a Velcro name, company name. So now I'm just a dude in a black jacket. So by the way, if you do work for a company, you may not want to be too obvious, because sometimes you want to wear the name. You're on a work site, so they know company A from company B, what you do. But you go and things start getting shady, you want to be able to take your name tags off and stick them in your pocket. And now I'm just some schmuck with a baseball hat and a backpack. Yeah. Yep, you got to. And I did do the smart thing though backwards. So when I got to the restaurant, the girl wanted to put me where my back was to the street on the patio, and I'm like, "Can I sit in the corner?" And she's like, "Well, it was just a two-seater, it's just me." And I'm like, "No, you put me in the corner." So I was backed up on that patio where I could see most of the street. I just couldn't see what was behind me, but there was a big brick wall on my left. But I could see the emergency exit out the kitchen. I could see the emergency fire exit on the other side of the restaurant, the main door, and the patio. And the patio was only like 4 feet off the ground if I needed to jump and get on the ground. Hey, Tennessee. Hey, Milkmaid. So, yeah, it's make sure when you do go out, when you do travel, position yourself physically when you're out eating to where you're not in a position where you could be compromised. If I had my back to the street and those guys started coming up and a fight broke out, you could easily jump up over, grab me and pull me over, take my stuff, and I don't see it coming. But I was wedged with my back against the wall. And of course, then I had the big beer stein. So worst case, I'll hit you with a big beer. I mean, I'm not above hitting someone with a beer bottle. Just saying. So, but it didn't come to that. They had this big commotion and they had signs, and there were mounted cops kind of behind them, kind of just watching. They were just yelling and injustice, and then they kept going and they finally broke up. But that's the second or third time I'd been traveling, and that was the most recent, besides what happened in Argentina when a riot broke out in the capital. And I was it's always when I'm drinking beer. I had a pizza and a beer in Argentina too. Shit. Maybe it's the pizza and beer create riots. I don't know. Now I'm thinking about that shit. But awkward Texas. Hey, Deanne. Wait, Deanne snuck in here on me. So anyway, I had an article because there's so how many of you watched the Super Bowl? Hit Y or yes if you watch the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not a big fan of the NFL. I wanted to watch the commercials. Yeah. No, Milkmaid wants a pizza and beer. That's not a bad thing, Joe, I'm not going to post that one, but that is funny. You attended several of them, mostly peaceful protested. Okay. So you guys didn't see it. So, they had Snoop Dogg. They had some of the Gen X rappers and hip hoppers. So what was it? Dre, Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent. I forgot the lady's name. I just blanked out. But anyway, right. So I watched the halftime. Well, I went to watch the. Yeah, that's why. Um, I went to watch the commercials. I was really because I didn't like either team, and I don't like the NFL. They can all bite me. But I'm watching the commercials, and the commercials were crypto, 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 new Ford electric car, new BMW electric car, crypto, crypto. And I'm like, that's weird. Now I'm learning, just paying attention. And again, I got that marketing in my background. When I did my MBA, I had that some of those marketing classes, that the music was meant to attract a certain generation, which was Gen X and the boomers, right? Because the young kids, the Gen Zs, millennials are kind of in the middle, but the Gen Zs are all about crypto and all about electronic stuff and 15 pokes and all that nonsense. Exactly. So they put music of our generation on with the hopes that a lot of us would then watch. Halftime show was okay, right? It was pretty cool. But crypto, and then this came up. And let me see if I can get that article back. I lost it. Shit, there we go. Biden orders government to study digital dollar and other cryptocurrency risks. And I'm like, you sons of, yeah. The whole reason you did that, this was all a massive setup. And that makes me insane. And now that so what I'm doing now, I'm taking my knowledge of marketing and business, and I'm watching what everyone's talking about on the prepping. And I'm like, okay, this money is involved somewhere. Someone wants money or power. Where's the tie-in? Where's the connection? Bam, there you go. So they're thinking of actually putting us hypothetically, and I won't, let me see, I don't know if the video will play. It may not. It's a stupid commercial. Yeah. Well, at least the oil and gas industry is starting to find different new technologies, which is pretty cool. Let me advanced climate solutions. Okay, let me see if can you hear that? Hold on.
Assess the risks and benefits of cryptocurrencies and to explore the creation of a digital dollar. The president's order requires the Treasury Department, the Commerce Department, and other key agencies to prepare reports on the future of money. It's a first step toward coordinated government regulation of the now $3 trillion industry. Administration officials said oversight of the booming sector is essential to ensure U.S. national security, financial stability, and to fend off the growing threat of cybercrime.
What we have today is incredibly thoughtful.
Kristen Smith, executive director of the Blockchain Association, says the industry welcomes the approach.
What we want is a measured, methodical approach to analyzing this space. What we don't want are rush policies that are pushed through last minute without open discussion. And in order to get a menu of policy solutions to consider, you really have to start with the type of analysis that this executive order is asking for today. So I think the asset class is at a valuation that merits this type of investigation. It's not too late. It's also not too early.
White House officials said the U.S. was taking great care to decide whether and how to move forward with a U.S. central bank digital currency, or CBDC. According to the Atlantic Council, 9 countries have launched central bank digital currencies, and 16 others, including China, have begun development of such digital assets, leading some in Washington to worry that the dollar could lose some of its dominance to China. Bitcoin surged on the news of the executive order, calming market fears of an immediate crackdown on cryptocurrencies.
Okay, so I thought that was super interesting. So again, that really got me, right? Because we'd already, and we've all been talking about stupid stool's going to kill. If I suddenly drop, give me about 5 minutes, because that means the stool failed and I'm on my ass and the corgi's trying to resuscitate me. Yeah, if you watch them, you'll see those little things that they do. I'm stuck prepping food instead of planning it. Well, you got to balance it, right? I don't like cleaning my guns. I like to shoot them, but I know I have to clean them or they don't pew. So, but yeah, after, what are your thoughts regarding Russia, the ruble, and gold? Okay, I have an interesting theory here. If you guys are interested, in the 80s, President Reagan and Pope John Paul II were pretty good allies. Like they stayed in touch. And Pope John Paul was friends with Lech Walesa, who was the leader of the Polish Workers' Union, who was a Christian, he was a Catholic. So Reagan, who was a very Christian man himself, and the Pope all agreed, look, the USSR is doing terrible shit. We need to remove them. They got in cahoots with the Saudis. This is really the beginning of the true petrodollar. Oh, well, it goes to the ruble. Sorry. So long story short, they use the oil being traded as in dollars to get Russia to come into the dollar, the petrodollar. Then Saudi flooded the market and dropped the price of oil and crashed the ruble. I think what we're seeing here is the reverse. And I guess I was taking the long route to your question, but yeah, I see the reverse. I think between the shortages being created by Ukraine and Russia, and then Russia and China trying to disrupt the petrodollar, they're trying to crash our currency. And due to the US, what we did to the USSR with the help of the Saudis and the Pope and the Polish, which is why the Polish and the Russians, they don't like each other. The Polish are ready to kick Russia's ass if they can, and they'll mix it up. You thought Ukraine put up a fight. They're doing the reverse, and then what's going to happen is, so then for the, I meant prepping food and canning. Just tie the ruble to gold. Week before you start planning. Yeah. Oh no, we've been in the 90s and then 35 the next day. Like, I have no idea what the hell to plant in this place. This is the strangest environment. Basically, what they're doing is they're We need to dig up Reagan and reanimate it. Okay, that would be absolutely creepy, man. But that is a good thought. We need someone like Reagan who's not a zombie. But yeah, to your point, this is what. So the Saudis, the Polish, the U.S., the U.K. There were several powerful countries all conspired at the same time. We're going to put the oil with the dollar. We're going to tie them together. And if Russia wants to sell their oil, they have to use the dollars. And then once Russia committed, they crashed the market. At the same time, they're giving Stinger missiles to the Afghans. And we were doing some other shit to them somewhere else. We basically overpressured their economic system and made it crash. What I see now is them doing it to us. They put us on crypto, break up the petrodollar, and now the dollar's based on GDP, but the dollar is non-existent. It has no physical currency. Who's to say it can't be manipulated somewhere and it takes a dump? So I feel in the future you're going to start seeing the dollar is going to lose dominance without a doubt, unless something really interesting happens between then and now. And you're going to see the price of food amazingly increase. Argentina and Brazil did not have good harvest this year. And let me see. So, oh no, stand corrected. Argentina had a good wheat. So that may actually offset us a bit, but the problem is Argentina's product usually gets consumed in let me see if I can pull that up, because I thought that was interesting too. So the Argentinians had a decent harvest this last year. Freaking cookies, go away. I'm going to clear the cookies anyway. So they had a record year, but global shortages seem pushing exports to 13.3 million metric tons. So, but I don't think that's going to go make up anywhere near what Zagan. Yeah, the sanctions are hurting everyone but Russia. And from what I'm hearing from people who actually are getting news from Russia, you hear two stories, right? And they're diametrically opposed. One is, oh, the Russian people are ready to overthrow Putin. The other side is Russian people are pissed, and now they're hungry, and now they're twice as pissed. So the Brady bill came soon after. Yep, exactly. And I've read that before, and you see that's concerning, because you think about it. So they crash the petrodollar, and they move us to, and all the wheat product is going elsewhere. We stopped farming here, really. I mean, we do farm in America. We're still the breadbasket of this part of the world, but it's not small farms anymore, right? The big megacorps have taken over the farms. And honestly, they spray indiscriminately, because I know a lot of beekeepers who are desperately trying to find even people with like an acre or two. They'll bring you your first hive. They'll help you set it up to reintroduce bees, because the big farms, they don't care. They'll spray their crops. They do their own thing, but half their sprays are killing off the bees and screwing up the small farmers. So it's a mess. But yeah, and Arkansas is absolutely right. So you think about that. We're gonna continue to see that. This withdrawal of Russia is kind of something I'm not a fan of. But before I go to that, on the crypto thing, and this is one of the big reasons why I'm not a fan of crypto. This is a Department of Justice page. Two arrested for alleged conspiracy to launder 4.5 billion in stolen crypto. Remember all those hacks in 2016 that ultimately went into that what the hell's Solyndra or whatever, that software company, and then they got into the DOE. Well, these during that same period of massive hacks, bam, these guys walked off with crypto. So subsidizing corn and soybeans. Well, soybeans is actually, isn't it high in estrogen? I don't know. I'm not an agriculturalist. But yeah, the withdrawal feels like a setup, and I have something to that I'll touch on here in a minute. But yeah, I think this, honestly, this feels like everything. There's something going on. We all see it. Okay, and I'm not trying to be a completely crazy conspiracy theorist, but everything, every commercial. Normally they have a Doritos commercial, or here's a new beer. No Budweiser that I remember, nothing like that. This was crypto, electric car, except for Tesla. Tesla didn't. They're not fans of Elon, I guess. I don't know, because Elon tells them what he thinks and they don't like it. And there's more to that. I think something's going to go sideways. They've been talking a lot about. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's the crypto guys. They're talking a lot about how material has been missing from Chernobyl, which is stupid because we all know Russia has nukes. So I don't know where they're going with that. Like there's a dialogue going here. I do want to show you guys something, and I'm gonna let that stupid commercial run again. I don't trust crypto. Shut down for one world currency. No, something along those lines is going to happen. Now, and actually, Elon and his company, and he's kind of like the Howard Hughes of our generation, that really eccentric, really bright guy. But he said he's going to try and get Teslas to the 30 to 40 range for like a commuter car kind of thing, which is cool. I think the tech is there, but it's not economic. But what they're trying to do is force it, and not in a good way, not like, oh, well, we'll give you incentives and tax rebates. No, they're basically pushing humanity into this economy. And the people who suffer the most are going to be the impoverished countries, right? Because they don't have cheap electricity. They don't have cheap gas. They don't have cheap oil. They can't sell their product to make it. So they're going to start to migrate to other countries, wherever, US, Europe, Russia. And there are just too many coincidences bugging the hell out of me, guys. And that's something what I'm worried about. My fear is, and it doesn't have to be Russia or Ukraine, because it's not in either of their best interest, right? But my fear is something may happen in one of the cities, and it could be a third party. It could be China. It could be freaking, I don't know, what's his face, the World Economic Forum guy. Hello, I am Klaus McMuffin, or whatever his name was, and that schmuck. They could pay someone to go and pump a dirty bomb in Kiev or in Russia. And you want to watch what is now a regional firefight turn into a shit show? Because if they did it to the States, what would you do? And there's another question. Sum of all fears, Tom Clancy. It was a dirty bomb brought into the US. Actually, it was a full-blown small nuke that was brought into the US, and then they blamed another country for it. But it was a third party that did it to instigate the fight. So, no, they're not. If you watch, no, and the grid can't handle it. Hell, Texas got a freeze for a week, and the grid went down. But you know what? When you make the communities super dependent, that's what you're going to get. Tennessee, to your topic, I'm going to share this. Let me see if I can get this video for you here, because I think this is relevant. Let me, hold on, bear with me a second, guys. Share screen. And in theory, you guys Should be able to see that.
May proof tested another delivery system. The Army's
Can you guys hear that?
280mm gun. When this shot was added to the program, some additional effects tests were scheduled to observe results of the low burst height, approximately 520 feet above ground. Since no gun type assembly had been detonated since the Hiroshima bomb, the weapons development scientists had on this shot their first opportunity to study the nucleonic behavior and fireball configuration of such a device.
Yeah, it's an old audio. Actually, I don't know if this is nuclear vault. I think this is... no, it's nuclear vault.
Unlike the situation with an implosion weapon, the scientists were here able to observe fireball growth from a body of fissionable material whose exact shape and dimensions at the moment of detonation were known.
Yeah, that got really loud. Stupid StreamYard commercial. Anyway, okay, so that's what I'm afraid of, because Russia has what they call a small artillery nuke. And it's like half of Hiroshima. It's not meant to destroy a city or a country, but if they're getting the smackdown we're being told they're getting, and as of last night or day before yesterday, the Ukrainians actually did an incursion into Russia, and let me see if I can find that video, and attacked a facility about 20 miles into the Russian lines. That's significant, guys. I'll see if I can find that. And this, again, this is escalating, right? Because originally it was Ukraine was attacked and they're trying to defend themselves. One in handgun form with a really tiny little nuke, just radiate the shit out of one person and his dog or his cat. I don't want to radiate the dogs. Yeah, actually what's funny is that depleted uranium from the nukes is what they use to do the shells in the A-10 Warthog. That cannon has a depleted uranium core about that big, and it moves so fast when it hits the tank armor, it becomes liquid metal, it becomes spall, and it just obliterates. That's why the tanks are burning from the inside when the A-10s hit them, is because that freaking shell doesn't hit them from outside like a normal cannon and blow it up. It hits, that rod goes in, turns everything inside to liquid metal, including the crew, and then it blows up from the inside. So if you watch the old Iraq war videos, you'll see that all the Iraqi tanks are burning from the inside out. It's really bizarre. But that's Russia made 100-ton. Well, backwards though, that bomb is so doggone heavy that they'd be better off making a lot of little ones and honestly irradiating a bunch of different targets than one big monstrosity. Because with their luck, right, they're going to try and fly this, Tupolev Bear with this big ass bomb, and like the Japanese will shoot it down and it goes tumbling into the ocean. And now they lost their big bomb. But I don't doubt they have other toys there. I don't doubt. Okay, hold on a second here. Woo. Has Ukraine taken credit for it yet, or are they still saying need to? We don't know. And actually, I just found an article earlier, just before this video. A-10 Warthog is an awesome plane. It is a brr. Okay, so let's see. This is Knucklehead here, Shepard Smith.
Helicopter attack on Russian soil that blew up a fuel depot. That's new tonight from a senior U.S. defense official. One Ukrainian military official did deny that Ukraine carried out the surprise airstrike that you see here across the border. But another official's response was more ambiguous. At any rate, these are eyewitness videos of the alleged attack. If true, it would be Ukraine's boldest and most stunning counterattack yet. You saw there the two low-flying choppers unleashing a barrage on the depot, and then they swooped away before dawn. The Russians immediately blamed the Ukrainians. Of course, that raised questions of whether Russia was lying again. Here's a map of the area where this went down. The fuel depot is in the Russian city of Belgorod.
If they did
about
it,
20 miles or so from the Ukrainian border. It's not far from Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city. We've seen some of the fiery fighting of the war there. And this is video of the fiery aftermath. The Kremlin says the strike could hurt ongoing peace talks with Ukraine. Russia's already struggling to keep its tanks and vehicles fueled. But British intelligence assesses this could add even more strain to Russia's military logistics problems. Meantime, Ukrainian forces say they continue to recapture territory and liberate towns from the Russian invaders, including this suburb of Kyiv. You can see all of the destroyed Russian tanks and armored vehicles charred and wrecked in the streets. Ukrainian officials say thousands of trapped civilians were able to safely evacuate from the devastated city of Mariupol today. But the Red Cross reports one of its evacuation convoys was forced to turn back before it reached the city, and that they'll try again tomorrow. Michael Weiss now, investigative journalist who focuses on Russia. He covered the wars in Iraq and Syria. Michael, thanks for joining us again tonight. Ukrainians gaining more ground, and now we're told hitting Russia in Russia.
Absolutely. They are pressing a counteroffensive east and west of Kyiv. I've seen credible reports that they might have liberated dozens of towns and settlements, Irpin being one of them. This is one of the first areas outside of Kyiv, the capital city, that fell to Russian soldiers at the onset of the war. They have recaptured Hostomel Airport, where the VDV paratroopers famously tried to create an air bridge to allow the Russians to come in via helicopter and transport plane to engage in their now completely collapsed blitzkrieg to decapitate the government in Kyiv. Yeah, I mean, they are actually pushing the Russians back out of the country. And I've seen some videos and images of absolute devastation. Dead Russian soldiers. I can't even share this on social media. It's pretty gruesome. And also, frankly, I've also seen videos and images of civilian fatalities, just ordinary innocent people dead by the side of the road in areas, suburbs, and villages where the Russians have withdrawn. So it shows just an indiscriminate non-concern for human life.
Yeah, brutal and horrific, Michael. And even with these victories, the Pentagon warned Russia's not going anywhere, just repositioning. What are your intelligence sources indicating?
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. I mean, the fear is that they're withdrawing and they might actually come back and launch another assault on Kyiv. But the greater concern, at least according to the Ukrainian officials I'm talking to, is that they're essentially just redeploying their forces east to Donbass. So Putin has realized now belatedly, and again at the immense loss of human life, that his strategic objective of regime change has failed. And so he's looking to consolidate what he can in the occupied territories of Donbass, but also create a so-called land bridge that might connect the occupied peninsula of Crimea to Russian Federation territory. But even there, Shepard, I've been talking to military experts and analysts who just look at the complete attrition on the part of the Russian military forces, the losses of manpower, firepower. I mean, we're talking over 2,000 pieces of equipment either destroyed, damaged, abandoned, or captured by the Ukrainians. There's a lot of skepticism that Putin can even achieve his new rejiggered strategic objectives of consolidating terrain in East Ukraine, because the Ukrainians, of course, are also going to redeploy their forces once the pressure is relieved in Kyiv, which evidently it has been in the last 48 hours. So they're going to press the fight also to the east.
Well, it appears they are having a number of successes. Michael Weiss, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
So that was an interesting one. But again, as you guys are pointing out, there's propaganda from both sides. It's really hard. Gas and diesel. He used to be. He's like some kind of weird consultant dude. And also, we actually, Tennessee, we're largely in the dark. I couldn't agree with you more, buddy, because you think about it, it's everyone's spinning their own stuff, right? The first thing that happened once things really started getting tangled up is we shut all the news off from Russia, Belarus, so we're not hearing any of their shit. They did the same, right? They shut off Western media, so they're not hearing any of our shit. And it's almost like, despite our technology, we've gone back to World War II, where you just have two sides of completely separated. I do think, keep in mind, Russia's been fucking with Ukraine for what, 15 years now? The Ukrainians have gotten really good at understanding the Russian equipment, the Russian techniques, the Russian deployment strategies, their tactical maneuvers on the ground, and they're all using similar equipment. In the meantime, we've been training the Ukrainians on the western part of the country. We had the Tennessee National Guard, we had the Cali National Guard, the Texas National Guard, the Pennsylvania National Guard have been rotating out there, teaching them how to use javelins, Gustavs, AT-4s, right? They upgraded, right? And then they use this ongoing fight in Wall Size makes it feel like Donbass. That's awful and funny at the same time. Don't be such a Donbass. That would be another t-shirt. I really need to write these down, guys. We could make so many t-shirts, send them out. It says Russia out control, and it probably is. And here's what's concerning. So the Balkans, right? So I think it's Latvia's prime minister. She is a former Air Force captain or something. She is not super happy right now. Like, she's asking for helicopters. And not just like, oh, I want an old Russian helicopter. No, she wants freaking Apaches or Cobras. She wants to fight. And she said they're going to come after us. I mean, she's convinced they're coming after Latvia. And on the news, Potatoes is like, no, they're not going after Latvia. And they're scared. Hey, Lucky. Woo! It's after work. Yeah, I'm running late today, so. Yeah, but thank you, Lucky. I appreciate it. We have those situations, guys, where you're getting this information, and then the first thing they did, they cut everyone off. So they don't hear what we're hearing, and we're not hearing what they're hearing. And you see stuff on Twitter and Insta and social media, you don't know what to believe. Half the freaking things on TikTok and Instagram are trolls. I have people, I'll put something out there and they'll be, you are an idiot. And I could hear the accent in their typing. I'm like, you are not able to spell. And then they get pissed and they start insulting me, so I kick them off. I'll tell you what, the trolls have been top notch lately. Like, they're coming out of nowhere and just throwing insults at me and other people. And it's like, and I just kick them off. I'm like, I'm not even going to spend time with you. If you ask a legitimate question, like, hey, I disagree because, A, B, and C, yeah, we can discuss it. But we're seeing a complete disinformation war and psyops on both sides. This propaganda machine is going to start smoking soon because they're spinning this stuff. And notice they're hitting each other's fuel tanks, they're hitting each other's refineries, right? That's not conducive to lowering oil prices, but we're going to ban oil. It's just, everything seems contradictory. It's almost like, getting real drunk and watching Alice in Wonderland. It'll freak you out because everything's just strange. And if you listen to the undertones, it's kind of dark. And that's what we're seeing. I'm seeing a lot of dark undertones in this shit. And it's frustrating. Okay, Lucky, have you been getting trolls too? Because some of them, they went after a female creator on another platform to where she literally she posted that she knocked like 100 people off in a day or something like that. It was really ridiculous. And I thought that person was exaggerating. I reached out to them privately and she said, no, seriously. It's been, no, and you know what? Actually, they go after me and I'll go after them and then they'll insult me and I insult them. What they're doing, they try to bait the content creators. And I've seen them do this to someone else. They go after a content creator with the intent of getting you to either post or say something that violates community, and then they report you. They're the one that attacked you, but they got a rise out of you, and so those of you who are content creators, please don't. Yeah. And I bet every single one of the troll accounts has no videos, or like 2 symbolic videos that are like saves of other people's stuff. And they use an emoji or something for their picture. Like, it's not real people. they bait the creator and they bait at the chat. And then what they do, if they can't get the creator kicked offline, to get the chat people, so they would like get my followers kicked off. Because one of you goes like, raw, you know, you go after them. Right. So, and that's why I just remove them, because, you know, if they want attention by getting you upset. Oh yeah. Or you just kick them off. Actually, some of them, it's weird. I actually used one as a lesson on another platform. I actually said, okay, you see this guy saying these things? This is, for those of you who are preppers, this is what you're going to deal with when the power goes out, the internet goes out, and you have a bunch of people sitting in the dark and they can't get their little online fix. They're going to go to stores and not be able to get what they want. And they're going to then decide that it's unfair that you have food, you have clothing, whatever it is you have that they think they should have. It's not fair you have it and they don't. What they don't mention is that while you were taking some of your hard-earned money or putting in overtime at work to buy extra rice, extra clothes, extra pews, whatever, they were out getting stoned and drunk and buying video games with their fucking friends. And then those are the ones who will be the first ones to complain that it's not fair. The preppers, the preparedness community, all of us were watching the other idiots. The only reason I went to Walmart during the Rona was to watch. And every now and then I'd find like, oh yeah, I need more C batteries. I didn't need anything. I was watching them. But those people will become, it's best to just block them. No, and actually they can hurt not just the channel, but the followers, and that, you know, they could get one of you kicked off because you go after them in a chat. So it's better just to remove their shit. But those same people will go to the streets and go after folks. And oh man, Ice Age is a big channel too. I believe it. I believe it. No, they're just yeah, it would be Pew Life. And keep in mind, the problem is those same people, they've lost their sense. Some of it was because of the shutdowns, but a lot of it is the culture of online trolling. It's cyberbullying is what it is, right? But then they go in public and act like that, and you punch them in the face, and they're in shock. When my coworker's wife got attacked, and thank God she didn't wind up in surgery, the guy just walked up and hit her. And so, you know, she went down, and the guy, I guess, he lost his balance and fell when he hit her. So the husband went on, and, you know, they started fighting. And he said the guy looked shocked. He kept saying, "Why are you hitting me? Why are you hitting me?" Those, and this is a good lesson now that we're on that subject. Yeah, and actually, backwards, was it last night or last week? You made some really good points about preparing mentally to have to do certain things. I know Jason, the Angry Prepper, has done quite a few. Yeah. So my son likes to, one of my middle son likes to do that to people, and he's just because he's a sarcastic shit. And he's now 22. And the last time I saw him, I don't know what he said, and he was just being a troll at the table. And I reached over and I punched him, and I hit him hard in the chest. And he goes, "Oh!" And I go, "You're an adult now. If you're disrespectful to my daughter, which was a sister, or my wife, I'm going to have to kick your ass." And of course, everyone else at the table laughed, but he knew. I was like, "You get up, so boy, I will whip your butt." But there was a correction, right? And he was just being a shit. He was annoying, and I gave him a punch, but, you know, just enough to kind of, I probably left him a nice raspberry on his peck, but, you know, it's just a little rough play. But you think about it, that was a kid who's super smart and who's just being a shit at the table. And I was like, all right, enough of you, you know, there you go. But have fun with others. I think that's how it started. He was having fun, but he had some drinks in him, and then it went into rudeness, and he simultaneously annoyed his sister, his wife, and my wife all at one time. So I'm like, okay, a correction is required. Otherwise, the men will have to take you outside and pour the ice bucket on you. But you get some, right? But this was an otherwise good, coherent person who's just being a shit. But there are people literally don't know how to act. And that concerns the crap out of me, guys. Because if things play out the way we thought they would, right? We get a major recession indicator, and I think there was one the other day. You get those major recession indicators, and you start seeing things really get unaffordable. People are going to start freaking out, and then they're going to go out and they no longer know how to behave. Yeah. No, there are people behaving badly. That's 100% your social immersed in drinking while shooting firearms. Yeah. And again, sometimes I like to have a beer, watch you guys talk, but that's me just enjoying myself. Some people just don't know how to act. No. And what's funny, it's the same crowd that thinks it's unfair that you have food stored because you took the time to actually do it and they don't, and they get upset, are the same ones who will become violent, like that guy in the street in Denver. But at the same time are the first ones to break down in tears or complain that, well, I was just saying things. No, if you threaten somebody, it's no longer just words, right? Now the words have indicated an intent, and that's where they get a disconnect. They have some kind of dissonance. They don't understand that you have gone to a point where what you're saying from your mouth is now creating a perception of danger to someone else, and they can react. But yeah, a lot of people don't care how they act. No, they don't. And there's no consequences, because I was a teenager and I was a shit. And then I got beat up a few times, and I realized pretty quick, wow, there was a negative result. I did A and B occur there. So A, therefore B, a couple of ass kickings, you very quickly learn, okay, you get up, you're black-eyed, and what happened? I had a smart mouth, Dad. Sorry. And Dad's like, don't have a smart mouth. Lifelong lesson. Don't say things you're not going to stand behind. But they don't care how they act. So this is important. We were talking about the riot, or pseudo riot, the drunken riot I witnessed when I was sitting at that restaurant in Denver. These things can formulate very quickly. And when they do, hey, Carbon, when they do, they can catch you completely off guard. So even when you're just going about your business, you're going shopping, pay attention to what's around you. And somebody posted earlier, you need to make sure, if you do carry a firearm or any other kind of weapon, or you're training, to implement the training accordingly. In other words, the firearm does you no good if you don't know how to use it. You can't carry it. Oh, hold on. No. And yeah, it's to the point of having a mag or a group. Those are the type of people you don't want. You don't want them. If they start acting like that, they need to go. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll conclude with this one, because this has actually happened to us in Houston. When my father-in-law was still alive, he had like some medical issues. He couldn't fly. The change in pressure would mess him up. So he said, I'll take the Grey. He didn't like flying either. So he said, I'll take the Greyhound. So I'm like, it's a long ride, but he insisted. So fine. We got the Greyhound for him and mother-in-law, and they came. But my brother-in-law, and he's a Kempo instructor who normally goes with them, had a new job. He couldn't go. So the two old folks came on the Greyhound. And Greyhound, they try to do a good job, go through security, get on the bus. So you make sure you don't have a crazy person. You try. Trip was uneventful. We went to downtown Houston, is where they decided to get picked up. Went to the main terminal. And it's in a skeezy side of town. Those of you familiar with Houston, like Awkward or or Lucky, you guys know it's down by the 2016 Maine, which happened to be the building from Urban Cowboy, where Buddy met that rich girl. So just historical context there. Anyway, it's not a great part of town. It's now being kind of rebuilt. So this place was dark, and then on top of that, it had a 24-hour McDonald's right across it. And you know, between those two and the homeless shelter 3 blocks down, it was just really weird at night. Of course, all you had to do was say Houston. Hey now, Houston is nice, just not that part of Houston. That part of Houston can be way sketch. So being from where I'm from, I drove around the block and I was looking for parking anyway. And I kind of got a lay of the land, and I noticed the McDonald's and the Greyhound station had a bunch of homeless folks on both, kind of meandering. So I was sitting there going, you got to pay attention, right? It's going to get a little skeezy there. Found the spot right next to the building. So Sassy was driving, so she pulled in. I told her, you drive down there. So she made her rounds, found the spot, and we pulled in. And there was no one near us. There was like a homeless dude was just like doing that whole thing all by himself as he walked away. And he was gone. Like that dude, I don't think he was dangerous, because I think if I'd have turned on a lighter, he would have been like the gremlins and gone from his eyes and fallen over. So he went away. I made that sound and pissed the dogs off. Shh, hey, no, get down, Potato. Go get the ball. Well, there's nothing going on. Shh, nobody asked you. Anyway, I gotta admit, having those dogs is great, because if they hear anything that's not to their liking, I'm going to know about it. Anyway, we pull in, and mother-in-law had already texted my wife and said, hey, we're unloading. So we could see the bus that came in from their part of Texas. I'm like, all right. So I said, I'm going to get down. I'm going to help your folks. You wait in the car. So Sassy had her little bougie cig with a little syrup coating on it, and she kind of tucked it. She had like a little vest, so she tucked it right here. So it's right up on her tummy. And she's sitting there, and there was, of course, you get the homeless guy, hey, he's doing the whole by the window. Marry her at a Greyhound station. If I'm ever in Tennessee, I really need to holler at you and we go out for a beer and a burger, man, because I think we'll get thrown out of the burger joint after about an hour. The fluffy one is Jackson, actually, named after Andrew Jackson, or the Jackson Street Brewery in New Orleans, depending on what I said his name and he came back. Dude, why are you hiding? Did the girls beat you up again? Go over there. Go. Shh. Do you just walk into the wall? He's so stupid, this dog. He's the smartest and stupidest dog I've ever owned at the same time. It's frustrating. Anyway, so long story short, we park. I start walking around the corner to pick up the old folks, right? And there's a cop at the main entrance. So I was like, okay, cool. As we're walking back, I turn the corner, and it's a long block. And I have mother-in-law and father-in-law, and he's on a cane, so he cannot walk fast. And I told them to their face, do not leave me. We're going to walk together. Of course, mother-in-law being impatient, she's like, oh, I see the truck, I'll go. And she takes off. Now it's dark. Guys, she got about halfway down the block. And I swear I'll never forget this, because when you get into a situation, you go slow mode in your head. I saw a bunch of people all turn at once and look at this older woman with a very nice suitcase rolling by herself down the sidewalk. And guys, they look like, you ever throw kibble to the ducks at the duck pond and they just go thump, or the catfish? That's basically what I witnessed. And here's my dilemma. I'm with the guy with the cane who can't walk fast. She was blowing to the SUV. And do I go to her? Because they're all making a beeline to her. 5 of them from 4 different directions, including a couple. And I'm trying to, like a needle off a record. And I can't keep up with her because he can't keep up. But if I go after her, I'm going to leave the old man with the cane. That's exactly what they were going to do. Or they were going to hassle her and pickpocket her. So I waved. Now, fortunately, Sassy is one of those people, because she's had things happen to her in her life that she trusts no one, and she's super sus about everyone. And so she lays on the horn of the SUV, and that was a fucking loud horn. And all of them stopped in the middle of the street and they all looked at the car. So, of course, mother-in-law's like, I'm going as fast as I can. She wasn't why she honked. She honked, she made an audio distraction, which made all of them hesitate. And when she did that, she rolled the SUV closer so that we could pick her up. Well, we get to that part. So she gets out. She's tucked that little 1911 in her pant, her waist pant here. She pops the back gate of the SUV, and by then I had caught up with Grandpa, so I'm loading them. I said, "You guys get in the car right now." "Oh, well, we want to get in the car, Mom." So anyway, then she looks at me, and I said to my father-in-law, I said, "We're going to have a problem here." And he goes, "I noticed." See, he saw it, but he couldn't do anything. So anyway, Sassy's. So anyway, we're trying to load. I said, just get them in the car. I don't care about the suitcase. So we'll replace that shit. I want them in the car now. So she gets in. Sassy's now but she locked the SUV, so nobody could open the doors. By then, I had 7 people around the SUV. So I'm like, dude, you need to step away. And the guy goes, no, I want to see. And I was carrying, and I happen to be carrying one of Joe Morgan's favorite firearms. It's my little HK Compact in 40. And I had an open carry holster, but it was under a vest. At that point, I actually popped the holster. And I said, you need to step back, bro. He said, you're going to shoot me? I said, you're going to jack me? I'm going to put a hole in your face. He said, that's not cool. I said, I got 14 rounds in the pistol on my right. I got a switchblade on my left, and I'm Puerto Rican. At least half of you are coming with me. And you should have seen all of them back up. And by then I had already unholstered. He couldn't see it. And I had the knife in the other hand. And I was like, I'm going to be like John Wick and get my ass kicked anyway. But what I said apparently worked. They came so fast, guys. Honest to God. I'd seen it in high schools where kids get into fights and they all attack each other. They were coming out of the woodwork. Like, it looked something like a zombie movie. And there were no less than 7, including 4 men, 2 women, and then one guy doing that thing by himself. But I don't think he even knew what was going on. I literally had to tell a guy, I'm going to put a hole in your face. And by then I looked in the driver's seat, and God bless my little wife. She had that little, so it's a 1911 in 380. She already had the window down, and she had her little pistol tucked up here. And the couple that were looking at me, she had a bead on the woman. And I'm thinking to myself, the last time I saw her draw a gun on someone, she emptied it at their car. So I'm like, she's going to smoke those 2 right where they're standing. And that leaves me these 3, and that's much more manageable. But everyone started backpedaling. And I finally reholstered. I had to get back in the vehicle. I'm like, we're just leaving. If they get in front of the car, I'm hitting them. Just hit them. I don't give a shit. And we took off. Mind you, this was pre-Rona. When A, they knew I would shoot them, and B, they'd probably go to jail if I beat them up. The cops showed up. That was a 2-person situation that got resolved by 2 people. And where was the lesson there? Mom broke ranks, right? If she had stayed with me, I would have been, I would have been like the herding dog, right? I would have been making circles around them. It's much less appealing when they're like, oh, here's the 2. And then, the car is pretty much, she'll run someone over. She don't give a shit. So, and it was an expedition too. So yeah, it's a big truck. But guys, that happened like that. And, I've trained for this shit. And you see it go on, and you go, God bless. Afterwards, we're driving back. And of course, mother-in-law's complaining that my Sassy was honking at her. She didn't get it. Like, she was totally oblivious to what just happened. And, but I drove away. We drove away. Both of us had our firearms out, because I was like, I don't know if they're going to smash a window. I don't know what the hell's going on. And we had to leave. Yes, vehicle is a good weapon. But this happened very quickly with 2 people who were paying attention, but one wasn't. But that's what I'm afraid will happen if things continue to get worse. You're going to start seeing that street crime, and it's going to go out. It's going to spread in not just the cities, it's going to go into the other areas. Yeah, and lucky it's super, you know, and you're like, there's a lot of things started going through my head. So one, I had safety off. I'm like, you know, the first guy's done. I probably get the other two. You know, I did Kempo and Judo for 15 years. I hadn't forgotten it. You know, but it's going to get ugly very quickly unless they run. Hey, Loretta, no worries, no worries. And see, this is it. You're also thinking, if I pull the trigger, I'm going to a grand jury because it is Texas. You're probably going to go to a grand jury. Then I'm going to have to deal with all of that, right? So I have way more to lose than they do. But then on the flip side, it's like the people I love are in this vehicle and there's danger. So to me, it was a no-brainer, right? You have to make that decision. And you're trying to de-escalate, but you're watching movement in your periphery, and it's really weird. Fortunately, the way she moved up and she honked startled the shit. And what's bad, there was one old homeless guy who had nothing to do with it, who was asking for cigarettes. And he almost got trampled by one of the other ones when she rolled the vehicle forward because he ran out of the street. But they literally, I wish I could draw you a picture. The McDonald's was here and the station was here. They were coming like, it's almost, they came like four from different directions. And then they were coming, one came from behind me and I saw him. Yeah. And that's the other thing. I had my phone in my butt pocket, so I wasn't distracted by that. I see people constantly going to stores, walking in Walmart parking lots like this. And, you know, to this day, you know, I still think about that and how bad that could have gotten. And, you know, who knows how it could have played out. But it would have been ugly one way or the other. And this was pre-Rona. This was we don't care about law. We don't care about the police. We do what we want. And I fear if things continue the way they are, that's something that concerns me. It's going to go to the streets. Now, out in the country, there's a different set of rules, right? Like, you know, backwoods Tennessee. A lot of you guys live out in the woods, out in the country, right? I know where every oil field chemical pit is and a bunch of other places. You know, you got thousands of acres out here. You know, if you can, yeah, well, he did the wrong thing, so now where do we put him? You know, you can do that out here. But in the cities, that was very quick. I mean, that happened fast. And even here in smaller cities, we're starting to see the attacks in the streets. We're starting to see those attacks in the parking lots. They did, by the way, the video I did, they did find that young lady, the one who got kidnapped, that I posted a video of the sister. I don't know if you guys caught that. It was one of my shorts. Video of the sister. What is this? Full auto was she? Yeah. And it is scary how quickly they escalate. And again, these things don't happen when I'm with like, okay, so we took the newlyweds on a trip because they had to get married overseas. My youngest son and his wife, they're both MPs. So we went overseas. She's trained in hand-to-hand combat. Some old man got smart with her and she was just like, poof, and removed him. And then security saw that he was out. But when you're dealing with trained, aware people, it becomes a lot, not that it's less dangerous, but it's a lot easier because everyone's kind of paying attention. When you have someone break ranks and they're oblivious, like Mom was, and she wasn't, because she doesn't think like that. When we pointed out what happened after we got in the house, then we scared the crap out of her, but it was like 30 minutes later. So yeah, it can escalate quickly. So guys, pay attention, because as things get more and more, and yeah, backwards, you're absolutely right. Yeah, they will look for easy targets, disabled, and that's what I had, an elderly and an elderly disabled. They don't come for me. I'm not nice to look. They don't want that. I'm ugly. They're like, oh, he's scary, you know. my youngest son, you know, soldier boy, he gets angry face, and he can turn it on like that. Actually, somebody went after my daughter in a parking lot at HEB, the veterinarian, and I got her a switchblade, and I think that she said, like, "You need to leave, sir." And he's like, "No, baby, I really like you." She went click, and he went, "Oh, my bad," and he left. She would have sliced the shit out of him. She told me about it after. He's like, "It scared the crap out of me, Dad." I said, "Yeah, but you know where all the tendons are, right? You didn't even have to kill him. You just be pink, 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 and down he goes, and his arms are like that." And she said, "Yeah, I was." She said, actually, she said in the back of my mind, she was thinking, "Oh yeah, I can hit the brachial nerve and take out that whole left arm, and he'll go straight down." But yes, a nice knife. Well, aside from being useful day to day, people don't think of how useful it is in self-defense. You can also get those stupid keychains that have the kitty keychain that you make. I watched a girl make a hole in a piece of wood with that damn thing. She wasn't big either. She was demonstrating it. I'm like, yeah, you punch someone, you'll hurt them. But a knife will definitely change someone's channel. Oh, yeah. Bigger cities, yeah. No, and this is where community comes in, right? Because, you know, I have retirees live on my block. I got young families where the young guys go to work. Because of my work, I'm remote half the time. So I might have home office. I might be in the office. I might be on a field location. Uh, I'm always in and out of the house, right? Um, During the day, a lot of the younger moms, because this is a lot of young millennials and Gen Z out here, right? Younger. I'd say the average demographic in my subdivision is between 24, 25, and like right out of college, and maybe 35. You know, so folks like me, an empty nester, I'm kind of an exception. There are out here, but not as many. When I drive around, I'm watching to make sure I see the moms and the little kids, and we have a lot of construction going on nearby. Got a lot of strange vehicles. My office desk faces the front. I keep my windows open in the day. I watch vehicles go by. And I know certain families, when the mom or the nanny will take the little kids, I'll watch. And if I see a car start making weird loops and I pick up on it, I'm going to go outside and talk on the phone outside, because I don't want to hear that, my neighbor's little girl got grabbed and the guy drove off with someone's kid. Um, yeah, I've seen a lot of that in local news, and usually you see it in the national news because it's more flashy. They get more clicks when they put that on like CNN or Fox or ABC. But when the local news is doing it, saying, yeah, this little girl got kidnapped and this lady got attacked, it starts coming a little closer to home. And so, yeah. I have a friend was a hand-to-hand combat instructor, or hand-to-hand fighting instructor for the police department in another city, and I haven't reached out to him in a while. I need to see if he'd be willing to come on and do a live and talk about this kind of stuff. Because he used to teach a women's class, jiu-jitsu. He does Brazilian jiu-jitsu and judo, and somebody grabbed his daughter and she just destroyed this guy. It was bad. Like, I'm talking like dislocated elbows and broken nose. I mean, she tore the crap out of him. But again, it was a lot of training, right? She grew up with it. It still scared the crap out of her. Nobody will touch her now, but yeah. And awkward, I'm doing the same. I'm trying to keep an eye out. Dude left when she turned to. Oh, yeah. And what are you going to do? Actually, I've seen it where and this is something in those mall parking lots. I mean, small malls like this is not really a deal, but mall parking lots, you got a lot of vehicles crowded in, especially on a Saturday, and they will come out and of between cars, like they pop out at you. Yeah. Yeah, and it's sad that it's come to that, But it's true. This is not like the 1950s, 60s, where in the movies it's like, just give me your money, sir. I don't want trouble. No, they'll just come and punch you. They'll attack you. It's really bizarre. Yeah. Also, if you, yay, that'll be fun. See, what, jujitsu or judo? That's any of those, anything. Taekwondo. My niece takes taekwondo, and she does a little kickboxing where they give them those big fat mitts, and these little kids smack the shit out of each other. I mean, it's hysterical to watch, but that's another way. Well, the school of hard knocks never. Yeah, and you have to project the voice. Sassy was also a cheerleader. So when she projects voice, from like the diaphragm, like, yeah, go team, but she says bad words. And I promise you, I've watched people at the gas station. Literally, she and I were at opposite pumps. And some guys, excuse me, ma'am. She got stand away. And the guy jumped. He actually was, I don't know, he was selling some car cleaner, scared the shit out of this dude. And I was like, well, you shouldn't be, walking up on women while they're pumping, stupid. That's not a smart thing. But they could go in groups. 2 or 3 old folks with cell phones and canes is better than one by themselves. So, yeah. And it is in a controlled environment. I saw someone post online the other day, let your children do dangerous things safely so that they will learn how to do dangerous things when they need to. And I thought that was a really good piece of advice. Let them fight, let them climb trees. Don't let them get hurt. They will get hurt somewhat, but let them understand what their limits, physical limits are, and push those limits. Air horn works like a champ. Jiu-jitsu is fun, and that's great. And also that kind of fighting, because typically male-female, physically speak, although the people in Seattle may disagree with me, male-female, the males tend to have more muscle mass and bone structure. That kind of training very quickly evens out that difference. A lot of the female fighters I've fought with, the center of gravity is lower than me, and if they got hands, we were going to the ground, and it wasn't a good thing. We were going to get thrown. But the training in general to use whatever God gave you to maximum effect, whether you're small, tall, big, short, whatever, that makes a huge difference. Being able to project confidence, loud and sweary, like he just said, that projects that confidence. It projects, look at nature, right? You have the mother dog with the pups, and another animal approaches. What does she do? She swells up, all teeth, loud barks. The other animal now has to decide if attacking the pups is worth the damage the mother's going to do, or if an easier target is available. And even in nature, they'll look for the easy target, right? The coyote or whatever it is will retreat. It'll go find something else. But you know what? They probably knew that you were out having a good time like they did when they were little, right? Yeah. It does. It also throws them off. Yes. Speed and flexibility. The leg strength. I do believe there's a difference in the leg strength. They're just, and also it's, I think there's body mechanics that just make it easier throat channels. Yeah. I actually had a buddy who he Will Smith smacked a guy in the street because he was a black belt. He was one of our junior instructors, and the guy got into his face in a subway, and he didn't want to close fist him because at the time and where we were growing up, a closed fist was a lot different from a martial artist or a boxer, right? It was like a whole nother level of scrutiny in the court. But he open hand smacked the dude, but he caught him at the base of the jaw. I swear the guy peed himself because the guy was like, and he just went, wow. But it was a hard slap, but he caught him up into the side, kind of like you would a left hook, but it was a slap. And afterwards, he's like, God bless, my freaking fingers hurt. Like his hand, I think he dislocated one finger. That's how hard he hit him. But the guy, and there was no blood. It was just his face. But the guy had like Google eyes, like the stuffed animals that when you shake them, their little eyes do this. He went down so fast. It was hysterical. But yeah, it's super effective. It does freak them out. Right. And also, if you project voice, you've projected your intent to defend yourself and that you're threatened. If they persist, that will make a difference because people will recognize, they'll listen to the yelling. And when the police come and start talking to witnesses, they're going to say, yeah, she yelled at him to stay away. And then he came too close and she reacted. Yeah. And those often don't say anything. They will come up to you very quickly. Yeah, I don't know if he clapped his ear with that one. I never got to ask him, but he caught him like right across here. So he might have gotten a bit of the ear, but that lower jawline, and then the guy, when he hit him on the left, the guy's head went the other way and he hit the stupid pole in the subway and bonked his head and he just went, like he looked, the Pac-Man music when Pac-Man dies, yeah, that's basically what that guy did when he went down, just, and that was the end of it. Yeah, they usually don't say anything, or they walk up to you, but they're looking over there and they make gestures like they're talking to someone. And what that does is throw you off, right? Because normally if you're talking to me like I am at the camera, I'm looking at you, right? We're addressing each other. Well, they'll walk to you, their body motions this way, but they're like, what you looking at? Hey, whatever. They're saying some gibberish, but they're gaining proximity to you. And again, going back to Lucky's point, is you project voice, hey, and now you've engaged them, right? So what do? If they keep coming at you, you've already warned them and they know that. Or you'll startle them, and by instinct, if someone yells, your eyes go to that person. They now locked eyes with you. Now you're addressing them. Now they no longer have that advantage. I've seen that twice on the streets when I was young. The first time I didn't recognize, I got an ass beating. The second time I did, and I projected voice, and the guy kind of got startled, and then he just mumbled to himself, went away. But yeah. Actually, I'm wondering if he was trying to smack him across the carotid and change his channels. That'll put you on the ground too, without killing anyone. But I think he just reacted because we were in the subway doing this, and he just went whack, and down he went. But yeah, pay attention with that. Oh. Yeah, and that's when you use the voice projection. You project voice, you project intent, you identify them like I see you, and they persist, then it's going to escalate. And then you have the fight or flight. Neither one is bad. The bottom line is you and your loved ones wake up the next day. If you're capable of fleeing, great. They break your car, because that's why you have insurance. But you flee. If you cannot flee, or you're with someone who cannot flee, now that changes the options very drastically. And that's why in the parking lots, I'm very attentive to families loading kids, because I've seen cars roll up to them and they'll hassle the mom. I mean, if they can grab a purse out of a shopping cart, they can grab a little kid, 3-year-old out of a shopping cart and gone. And once they've got a kid, even if I'm a witness and I want to intervene, I have limited options, right? I can't physically attack the guy. I have to be careful because I'll hurt the kid. I can't shoot because I'll hurt the kid. It can get very complicated. But if you see them in advance, don't hesitate to help someone out. You whoever it was that said earlier that they walked up to another woman, or was it Lucky? Someone was following her, and you projected voice side by side with the other potential victim. Now all of a sudden, things have multiplied. Now it's no longer interesting. So pay attention to that. Yeah. Yeah, and watch the hands. The hands will kill you or hurt you, right? They can make all sorts of face. The face does nothing unless they bite you like a zombie. Okay, she projected the voice. You had the knife behind her. Yeah, okay. So, but the same thing. Well, and that's what happened to me in Houston, where I had to basically, and what I had done actually, because of the way the car was parked, I had put the luggage in, I closed the back, and I was walking up the side of the vehicle. So I had my back to the SUV, so someone couldn't come up behind me. They would have had to come around the back of the vehicle from my left or come at me straight, and I had already unholstered, right? So I was at a low ready. And it doesn't take much. I don't have to get a Starsky and Hutch stance with my handgun. I can shoot you right off my tummy and engage my target. So that it changed the dynamic. But yeah, you got to watch behind you as well. But yeah, working with them, projecting the intent or that you see them, you recognize them, many, many times will diffuse because now they've lost what they thought was their advantage. Sneaky, it's a. I actually saw one woman in a Target get in the middle of the aisle and say, "This man is following my little girl." And she said it loud. Mind you, I'm in the very cowboy hat part of Texas. And when she bellowed, I mean, she bellowed that. In seconds, Sassy was by her side. "Are you okay, miss?" And all of a sudden, there were like husbands and the manager and other women, like everyone suddenly turned. I never saw whoever was following her. Like, I have no idea what it was, but everyone turned. And she's like, "Yeah, he had the red hoodie." Red hoodie was gone. There was no red hoodie in Target anymore. The dude vaporized or something. I don't know. He teleported. Yeah, and it may come to that. Yeah, and it's true. And this is going back. We were talking about trolls. That's how we wound up on this subject. If the economy, the cost of food, everything continues to get worse, which it may, what we may start seeing is more of this kind of incident. People attacking you, not just for your jewelry or your car or to steal one of your kids. They're going to start coming after you for damn canned food and rice. They started stealing gas here in Texas. In Texas, we had the best price in the country, and they were still trying to steal gas. And then someone shot a few people, and then they stopped. But because it's Texas, you know, there's a consequence out here. Actually, one old lady used the dispenser and sprayed the guy with the gas because he came up to her while she was pouring. She just sprayed him in the car. That's a chemical burn and a half on your U-Haul. You know, yeah, you get gasoline in the birdies and they're going to burn. It's not good. So don't talk about. Oh yeah, good point. Thanks, Lucky. But be safe out there, by the way. Hey, Red. But again, keep that situational awareness in the streets because it can escalate. The voice projection, as Backwoods pointed out, stating that you're aware of where they are, and better still, positioning yourself so you can't be approached easily from behind without cornering yourself. These are all little things that you can. Gotcha. Good to know. Thank you, Lucky. Permanent stuff gets permanent attention. That's a good thing. Pay attention to those kind of situations because they can hurt you. It can cause you problems. And with the way people act online, now they're acting like that in the street. They're just lashing out and getting unnecessarily aggressive. You may see more of that street crime. So especially as we see those finances go the other way, right? If we continue to see those inflationary effects, it's going to start affecting the way people act in the street. So guys, we went over. We're at an hour and 40 minutes. So I'm going to kind of wrap it up on my end. Thanks for all of you for coming in today. And again, I hope you got something useful out of it. We had a really good convo in the chat. But hey, Red, just pay attention, keep aware of what's around you when you're out collecting your preps. Obviously, you live out in the country, you kind of know who lives in the area, who should be and not be in the stores. You'll pick out something strange pretty quick. In the cities, there's so much a commotion, it's very hard to do. And especially if you live out in the country, but you have to go to the cities for business or for shopping or whatever, you may wind up struggling there. So you guys be careful out there, pay attention. Situational awareness is super important. And just stay focused, stay careful. I will talk to all of you all later this week. I will be probably traveling next weekend, so I'm not sure if I'll have a coffee live like I did today. I was running late today as it was. But until next time, you guys, God bless, be safe, be careful, and I will see you all later on.